Welcome back, and today we are flying out the German Alpha Jet, and the Alpha Jet is actually, in my opinion, pretty enjoyable. Today I'm gonna give you every game, essentially every kill I've gotten in the thing. I think there's about one game that isn't there, but literally nothing happened, so I'm just gonna spare you the absolute boredom, because the video is already looking to be over 20 minutes long. The Alpha Jet is actually a pretty solid frame. The low speed acceleration is pretty good. It's not super fast, but it also doesn't really compress, and at high speeds you will be able to pull up to 14 to 15 Gs without ripping, which catches a lot of people off guard. The roll rate is also absolutely insane, and the retention on top of all of this is also pretty solid. Now if you get stuck in a 2v1 and you don't have the drop on them, you're gonna struggle a little bit. It's not as good as your mother at handling a 2v1, but depending on the planes you are fighting, you can handle a lot of planes in this thing. We are going to be dogfighting essentially everything today, but the most important part is trying to not hang yourself after getting hits with this gun. And I'm not making a funny meme here, or I'm not like being over exaggerating for dramatic effect. I actually lost about 30% of my kills to assist. It is just that bad. For every 2 kills I've gotten an assist, and that isn't great. On top of that, the gun is kind of awkward to aim. You can see the roll rate is insane, and this plane kind of tries to level out on its own, like every RRB plane. However, with this thing, it just rolls so obscenely fast that it's kind of unwieldy, and I don't recommend taking the boosters off, because, well, you kind of need that high speed turn to catch people off guard with. And the gun placement is just absolutely cheeks. It's very far back. It's on the bottom and it's on one side, and the velocity is something you're probably not used to. So overall, the gun is going to be my main issue with this plane. Other than of course the matchmaker, because 9.3 and 9.7 is extremely common. And just like the name of the Alpha Jet in front of us, a soggy cucumber is pretty fitting when it comes to getting raw dogged in these up tiers. Your plane is simply not fast enough, and MiG-19s, F-104s that don't really want to engage you and actually wait patiently until you're out of speed are just going to absolutely rinse you. Ariets are not gonna be fun to fight in this thing. They are faster, they turn better, they accelerate better, they do everything better. So again, all you have is that high speed compression and trying to catch them off guard. But enough of the average and the generalization. Let's actually take a look at a bit of the gameplay that isn't just completely filler like we filled his ass over there. Because this plane is an absolute one-trick pony, and I can talk about how I can do it in theoretical ways, but I can also just straight up show you. Now this right here is my actual first game in the thing. So we dive on the CL-13 Mark IV, and the CL-13 Mark IV is not really a threat in this thing, but we are on a 6, and I just want to show you how hard it is to kind of put your cursor where you want it to go. You can see that the actual cursor of the gun, like the reticle, is just bouncing all over the place, and because the velocity as well as the rate of fire, it's very easy to just kind of looky-look them and shoot a silhouette around that plane. I'm trying to stick on him. This is actually the first time I tried to use the gun, and it actually worked. I thought, oh okay, we are looking at some pretty good damage. I one-shot the first guy that I hit. That is absolutely fantastic. And if you are wondering, out of my testing, the air belts are by far the best belts for this gun. And here comes a G91 R4, and we are just able to pull 12G into this. Look at my speed, it doesn't drop that much. Trying to use my flaps a little bit, managed to break them off because I was just going too quick. But because we have so much authority at high speed, we basically turn behind him instantly. And after that, it's a matter of cleaning up. The issue is again the gun. And this is a skill issue, but keep in mind, this is my actual first game, and I just have no idea where this gun is exactly going. That will get better over time, trust me, but for now, let's just take a look at how to dispose an Ariete. We have 3 friendlies, a MiG-17, another Alpha Jet, as well as a G91 and ourselves to pressure this guy. So we are gonna try to keep this guy as slow as possible. So I'm gonna jump on this guy immediately and start pouncing a bit on him. Ariete tries to dodge the head-on. I managed to get a shot in. It doesn't really do real damage, I think. It doesn't give me anything on the bottom right, but it does give us a crit. So that is at least going to be another assist for us. We loop on over, he goes head on with the G91, and I am now going to be able to dive on the Ariete and try to catch him as he's slow. I'm just trying to make this guy maneuver as much as possible and give him absolutely no breathing room, because if we do that, we are going to have a little bit of an issue. We dive on him, we get another hit, and now he is completely messed up. And the entire team is coming in, so this guy is very much completely dead. Unfortunately, not to us. Instead, he gets kamikazed by the MiG-19. Now we have an A4E, and the A4E is a plane that we can very easily dispose of. The issue is that, well, you can see in the background, he is kind of camping the base, and I'm gonna cut out the first little bit of his camping antics, but we are gonna try to go vertical here. I'm just trying to bait him into staying on my 6. Now he doesn't want to take it. I'm just outside of the range here, but I need to get some speed up, and I need to get away from here, because if I chase him right now, I'm just gonna get slapped by a VIG-40. So we dive out, we get some distance, and we bait him into coming out again. We are gonna go head on, and I'm gonna preemptively turn towards his base, but then I notice that he's not actually turning to the base. So we are now gonna actually just kind of pull lead, just go directly for him, and he pulls directly in front of us, underlead the first shot. Keep in mind, this is like the third or the fourth guy that I'm ever shooting at. Trust me, it gets better. And then he does the absolute unthinkable. He goes back to the base. Woo, who saw that one coming? Well, luckily, because this thing holds so much speed and that thing doesn't, we are gonna very easily catch him. The issue is that I only have 14 rounds left. The good thing is that he is going slow as balls. We missed the first burst. Luckily, we hit the second. We are gonna kind of turn away here to juke the missiles. I'm trying to keep this guy slow and not able to pull back into his base. And because the missiles are in a little bit of an interval, I can actually go up here, able to outpull that missile, and now we can just pull straight into the A4E and finish the job. Nah, I'd lose. Luckily, he does actually lose, and he ends up crashing a little bit later. Then it's time to look at one of the better games and best examples that I can give for you, at least if you try to fly this thing as a fighter. We have Rallystar WRX in a Jaguar, and he's busy with a MiG-19. Now, if he doesn't blow his head gasket just before we arrive, we should be able to get a pretty easy kill here. We get severe damage, we take his wing off, he's gonna be in a flat spin, and as long as no one steals that, I'm gonna get a little bit of a kill. I'm gonna disengage, I'm not too worried about him. Instead, I'm gonna go for the G91 here that is busy trying to shoot down an F-104. He's not really paying attention, and I should be able to sneak up on him pretty reliably. So we start getting pretty close. He doesn't see us until it's way too late. He's too slow, he doesn't have the ability to actually outpull me here, and he still has like 3 missiles on. He's way too heavy. He is crit, he's dead in the water. I am not gonna pursue him anymore. Why? Because I want to win this game, and me spending all my resources, and with resources I mean time, ammo, fuel and energy, I'm not going to be winning any games, because he's already essentially dead. He is going to get stolen, and that is going to be kill number 1. Well, not really stolen, but you know what I mean. Then we have everyone below us, and everyone is actually pretty slow, so we are going to just basically play this like a prop match. I dive in, I look for an opportunistic target, and the Mystere 4A is one of the, well, best things I can go for. He's slow, he gives me a fat broadside, and he was in a good position for me to just kill him without actually having to deviate from my intended path of travel. Now he's completely dead as well, gonna be assist number 2, and we kind of just disengage, put all of our speed back into altitude, because our high speed acceleration is absolute doo-doo, so I try to stay below 700 at most times unless I am actually actively engaging someone. We turn back around as the MiG-17 does, and we get directly on a 6. So we pull lead, we get some shots in, we get some more shots in, and again, that is going to be assist number 3. Unfortunately, however, he is dead in the water, and he is gonna do absolutely nothing anymore. Mystere gets cleaned up. We notice the J35A, so we go head on with it, but head-ons with this thing aren't exactly fantastic. Most of the time you are just gonna get a hit anyway, but personally I'm also not getting hits very often either. And then the real fun begins. We have an Ariete on our 6, we are decently fast, but I don't want to go too much quicker. I'm just trying to fly away from the main blob for a little bit longer, just so that I actually have the ability to 1v1 this guy. Slam on the elevator last second, pull 14 Gs, get a lot of position early on, but he starts air braking, zero throttling, and I am gonna try my absolute hardest to stay above and behind him, so that I can maybe try to shoot him down. I'm in a pretty solid position. The issue is that the Ariete is just very dangerous to fight, and by the way that he has been flying, I know that he is sentient, so I do want to be kind of careful. I get up over his nose, we stay out of his guns, we stall on top of him, we drop our flaps, and we should be able to just kind of pitch up and try to slap him directly out of the air. But he notices it. This guy is a duelist, I learned after the fact, and he dodges my line. If I stick that, I'm completely dead. And this is what I meant earlier, or very often, when I say if your enemy plays it right, it doesn't matter if I do everything right, it's in the hand of the planes. And this is a matchup that I'm not supposed to win. I have a feeling that he is running min fuel because of the performance that he was getting out of his ass right there. And if he was running 20 minutes, he should be a little bit heavier. Now he can of course run a custom fuel load. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm betting on the fact that this guy has min fuel. And this will come into play a little bit later. He starts talking to me, Alpha Jet video, you are correct. And at this point I know that this guy is gonna try to kill me to probably stay in the video. Otherwise you don't say such a thing. So I'm gonna assume that you are gonna try to kill me. And he starts breaking off. And if you are active in the chat, you start addressing me and you can kill me very easily in a plane that's completely better than mine. And you try to break off and fly away. That can only mean one thing. You want to go RTB. Or you're scared to die, and I doubt it's the second one. I think this guy wants to go RTB. That is not an engagement that I'm going to be taking. I have an F86 F2 coming in, or at least an F-Saber, I'm not sure which model. And we kind of just disengage. We are going to rope this guy along and try to rid him of his fuel. Because I have a feeling that he needs to go RTB relatively quickly here. And if he keeps breaking off, he keeps flying away, he's going to give me a very nice little opening to make sure that he is not going to make it back there. In this kind of situation, if you notice that someone will not allow you to go back to your base, you need to engage them. It's pretty clear that I'm not gonna leave this guy alone. He is outrunning me, and normally I say never chase a guy that's quicker than you. But I just felt that this guy really wanted to go RTB, and if I put the pressure on him now, I can hopefully just kill him and make sure that he is out of the match. He's also squatted with another Ariete, and then if they start communicating and working together, there is nothing I can do. I will already struggle against one here, but there's two of them. So we dive on the first one, or dive a little bit on the first attack here, and we again extend away. I'm just trying to rope this guy along and waste as much of his time as possible. He turns around yet again, and now we are actually going to engage him. I also want to give him the impression that I'm gonna not put all the pressure on him, and I want him to think that he can just disengage. So in a bit here, we are actually gonna do the absolute opposite, and we are going to absolutely send it. He's going relatively slow. We are catching him for now. He will outrun me in the long run. And then the F-104 says, I'm going back to the base. I wanted the F-104 here to just kind of wear him down, but the Ariete turns back around and we are way below him. We are going fast enough, and because of that we are able to pull like 11 Gs, get the shot in, severe damage, and he is dead. And just as predicted, he's gonna say it in a second. He says GG rip fuel. He wasn't quite out just yet. You could hear his engine spin and everything. So I don't think he actually lost that dogfight because of fuel, but because he took an absolutely horrible line, went way too high above me, and underestimated the amount of pull that this thing has at high speed. However, if I miss that shot, it's over. It's the Ariete just absolutely claps me. Now I'm not sure how much fuel he had left at that point, but it's not an enjoyable experience fighting an Ariete in this thing. But thank you for giving me an absolute textbook example of how to use this thing. J35 is in a dogfight. He is pretty damn slow. We are just gonna pitch up for him. We were climbing at like 600 kilometers an hour. We close the gap, and now he's too slow. And luckily we get a bit of damage. We take his wing off in a singular shot, and he's dead. And then I want you to look at the jet. Some guy asked me how's the Alpha Jet. I said, well, everything I did in this video, but the gun is kind of doo-doo because I keep getting assist. He says skill issue. Well, I tell him that he has 0 kills because he's just bombing. I'm using it wrong. What he's doing is more profitable. Kind of funny considering he has like 400 points. And well, we are looking pretty solid here. Now the J35 really believed in the heart of the cards because he managed to pull out of a 90-degree dive just above the ground with one wing. But he's too slow now. He spent quite a bit of energy doing that. So we are just gonna kind of pull lead pursuit on him to stay as close as possible. And I mean, he is forced to kind of fly straight. And after we basically park on a 6, he pops the smoke. He knows it's over. I'm sorry for putting you out of your misery like that, but I need some kills for footage. Kill number 3. And then the G91 pops up above us. Now he is going to be engaged by half my team at the same time, so it's more of a cleanup duty. But I promised to give you basically every kill. Again, I didn't record 2 kills, I think. But the video was super laggy. It was not super interesting either. And really nothing happened. I killed like 2 guys that were stalled out, I think. It doesn't really matter. But to get on the 6 of the G91R4, we only have 17 rounds left, just like with the A4E actually. And this time my aim is a little bit better. After missing the first burst, we Epstein him in the back of his head. There you have it. 4 kills with 3 assists. That's 18 goddamn hits. There's the chat if you want to read all of it. It's some friendly banter and salt, I guess. And the game after is actually this one, I think. And we are gonna be engaging the main blob here. We have a Harrier and F-104, which I don't really have to worry about and the F3H. The F3H is a plane that I like fighting in this thing, because I just completely clap it in a dogfight, and most of them actually try to dogfight you. Case in point, he actually turns back the other way, gives me the freest kill imaginable, and we are just gonna able to strip his plane into a dildo, and that's called severe damage. Now luckily he bails out, otherwise he would have fallen for like another, what, minute before he hits the ground, and then most of the time it gets stolen, which is pretty damn annoying. We spot a Harrier on the deck here, and the game is about to be closed up already. There's gonna be 3 F-104s left, but I want this Harrier gone, because Harriers are pretty annoying to deal with in this thing. In the dogfight it's kind of okay, but acceleration is just so damn good that they manage to get away from you all the time. They can just climb away, and you have no real way to kill things at a medium distance, because you have 0 missiles, of course. We are going to start catching this guy, and if you catch a Harrier in this thing, they're kind of done. They lose a lot of speed very quickly, they don't pull that hard, and they kind of just float in place. So I'm just waiting for this guy to start turning. He doesn't, so we just kind of shoot a burst directly in the back of his plane. And then we are going to use, as the guy in the previous game said, use it properly. And we are going to use the rocket pods. God damn, we are just absolutely shredding all the ground units. Now it has 2 loadouts essentially. You have rocket pods and bombs. I went with the rocket pods because I felt like I could kill a little bit more with them. The main issue is that they are super inaccurate. They are only AP rocket. You have to kind of aim them with your one wing, of course, as per usual. The CCIP does work quite decently, and the gun is actually pretty good at killing light targets. However, the gun ammo is just not much. It's you have like 150 rounds, you get through it quite quickly. You need quite a few rounds to actually kill something. Of course, in this case I'm using the air belt, because I'm just repurposing my my tactics mid-game. And sure, ground pounding, it's pretty okay. But I think with the dumb ordnance, if you are going to look for like a ground RB plane, I think you're going to be better off with something like the G91R3, for example. At least in the German tech tree. I'm not too sure what you can pick in the French tech tree. It might actually be a little bit better to take this thing. It's pretty solid overall, but it's yeah, it leaves a bit to be desired, but it's also only at 8.7, so I think it makes complete sense. Then we engage this F3H, he's above us, and he is gonna try to pitch down on us. And you can tell that he's just losing so much speed, even though he had more energy than us, that I will out-energy him in about a singular turn. Now he's gonna try to dive out here and get some distance. This is the second game I did in the plane, so I'm still gonna be kind of struggling. And as a reason, this is at the end of the video, because this is me having terrible aim and getting jumped. Made a lot of mistakes in this fight, but I still wanted to use it to give you a little bit of an idea of what this thing feels like. His squad mate comes in, it's an F3H as well, and this doesn't happen to me very often, but I have no idea where that guy came from. I got absolutely jumped. He gets on my 6, and luckily the damage model is quite okay. Try to reverse him, trying to pull in, but he's gonna try to go vertical here, and he's too fast. I'm not gonna be able to pull into that. I'm only going 420 at this point, and if I try to follow him there, I stall myself out for the F3H. And now I do know that they're both here, so I need to play it a little bit differently. I get a missile shot my way, and if I don't have flares right here, I'm actually probably dead, because I'm forced to turn a lot harder, and they are gonna get a lot of position on me. But luckily I actually have 60 of them. I ended up using a mix a little bit later, because sometimes you get up there into, well, F3Hs, and I wanted to feel a little bit more safe against the AIM 7D, I think it is. The very first Sparrow that they have. They're not very good missiles, but I still want to be somewhat careful of them. F3H breaks off, F40 goes vertical, and I'm basically stalled out. And I can't really do anything else other than try to pull in here and try to get over his nose. Now he is probably going to get the shot here, because this is super sketchy. He does manage to hit like a single round. And we are going to try to reverse him, which we do, because you can tell that the like one turn performance here is actually pretty solid. It's super tight, it's super slow, and you kind of just float inside of people's circle, but I just don't have the energy, and this guy is playing it safe. Now it doesn't help that he also has the F3H around, so I need to be mindful of him as well. Otherwise you can dogfight the F40, but right now in this position I'm having a pretty tough time. I go underneath the F3H. I try to go vertical here to loop on over to at least get the F3H out of the picture, and the F40 is not going to be able to pull into us, and he is going to be engaging someone else. So now we can actually turn this into a 2v2. The unfortunate truth is that my Alpha Jet friend here is going to do an absolutely horrible job at giving me an opportunity to help him, because all he keeps doing is turning inside of my circle. I cannot help him, and this F40 can continuously break off and go for me. If that F40 wanted me dead, he would have killed me right there, and it would have been impossible for me to do anything. So I break off a little bit to engage with the F104, and he does it again. He pulls into me, and I'm not able to help this guy. But now, because the loops are kind of desynchronized, I'm going to be able to pull into his loop here. He's still trying to go head on with me. It's actually super infuriating, but we managed to get some damage in. And again, it just does absolutely nothing. But now he is crit. We are going to go up over his nose. And we should be able to drop in behind him here. The issue is that there is again someone coming in from the other side. You see him on the map. It's the F3H, and he's about to kill my friend, I think. No, he didn't actually. Oh, he did. There he goes. And we are back to square one. Except this time we are on low altitude. We are not particularly quick. However, the F40 is actually crit at this point. So we are gonna try to engage Super Mario 100. And I have a feeling that the F40 is dead, because he's just kind of flying away from us. He's kind of just flying straight. So I thought I killed like a still control, because he's not attempting to do anything. He's just flying away. So we turn around, we re-engage the F3H. And we are going decently fast, but this is kind of sussy. We just go up over his nose. And I'm gonna go vertical, try to bait him into following me. He doesn't, so we instantly just kind of follow him in his break-off attempt. We get behind him, and he lost a lot of speed. So I am now able to kind of dive on him. He doesn't have the best acceleration, but we are reaching the point where my acceleration starts dropping off. And he will be able to get away from us. He starts dolphining, and the second we almost get a shot in, he gets clapped by a friendly with an R3S. F40 comes out of nowhere again. Didn't expect him to turn around. Luckily he didn't manage to kill us, and he is about to get absolutely jihaded. And that's all. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.